You know, ever since the state elections, most of us were factoring in a pre-election rally in 2024. I mean, that has not really been the case. Nifty, although very close to record high levels, is up just about 2% on a year-to-date basis, has underperformed US markets and Japanese markets. FIIs, they have been net sellers to the tune of about 3.5 billion. The broader markets, the underperformance has started to come into play there, and even the unilateral moves that we were seeing in PSUs, that's pretty much gone. What are you making of the markets at this point in time, sir?
I don't know, Suyash, how much do you expect out of the markets? Especially when you are trading at all-time high. It has been a history of the market that whenever we have done that, we go into a brief period of consolidation. We try to make a strong bottom and then move upwards. And I think the rally from the time we saw the state election result to where we are right now at 22,100 or 200, I think it's been a decent uptick. I don't think anybody has to complain about that. And like you rightly mentioned, in a time when we are approaching general election in the next 2 to 3 months, markets would tend to consolidate. And then possibly post the result of the state elections, we are preparing ourselves to a much more higher side. Not to forget, this week we have the FNO expiry. Also, tomorrow is the FNO monthly expiry. Expect choppiness and volatility. Earnings, credit policy, data points as far as domestic events are concerned, I think by and large we have done and dusted. We may react to the global news flow, depending upon which way the news flow is going to come from the global arena. But I'm quite satisfied. I'm quite pleased with the kind of moves that we've seen in the markets. And you were talking about PSU stocks. So, one has to also remember law of gravity. Whatever goes up has to come down, and whatever comes down has to consolidate and move upwards. So, in terms of performance, I think after a long period of time, PSU stocks have performed, be it in defense, be it in oil marketing companies, be it in oil exploration companies, be it in public sector banks. We've seen some decent return. And we spoke last week also. I think consolidation is always better for the markets. It gives opportunity for new players to come in, for short to medium term players to book profits. Our view on the market is last week and this week, it was that 22,100 would not be broken decisively. We did break that and gave a close above that, and the result is that we're closer to 22,200. And possibly if we give a close, not today, tomorrow, but maybe next week, about 22,300, then slowly, steadily, we are preparing ourselves to move towards 22,500. Pre-election rally, I think one will have to be a little bit cautious in terms of expectations.
All right, so as we speak, Juniper Hotels, now they have listed a slight premium of about 1% at rupees 365 rupees a share versus the listing price of the IPO price of actually 360 rupees per share. And Gaurang, coming to you, I mean, hospitality has been a segment which has been in focus, relatively over the last 1 year. First, it was the World Cup frenzy, then the wedding season and festive season. Now we were talking about this spiritual tourism theme that's also picking up. But Juniper specifically has been a loss-making entity, a muted listing as well. What's your take here, sir? Juniper Hotels, is that something that one can add to their portfolios?
We don't have any coverage on this one. Won't comment specifically in Juniper Hotels, but extremely excited about the hospitality sector. And Suyash, I've been traveling length and breadth of the country before pandemic. Then we were hit by the pandemic and restricted travel was there. During that time also I traveled, and post that when the restrictions were lifted off completely and new normal has set in, I have traveled very recently. What I have noticed is the room tariffs have moved up anywhere between 10 to 15%. Management commentary in terms of room tariffs is likely to go up by another 10 to 15%. Occupancy run rate has improved, realizations have improved, not only on the tariff front, but also on food and beverages. And banquet income is also going to come in and contribute to a great extent, thanks to the festive season, wedding season, etc., etc., leisure travel, business travel, etc. So we like one name in this particular sector, that is Indian hotels. And I
Hmm.
was also listening into the commentary of couple of management from the hospitality sector, and they have got some very interesting lineup in terms of adding to the room count, also opening up of new properties. So I think this sector is going to do pretty well. I hope that there is no unpleasant surprise that comes in from China or any part of the world.
Morning, Gaurang. While hospitality has been rallying over the last 1 year, almost across the board, there's one sector that has just been up and down, and that is the telecom sector. Now, with the announcement of a 45,000 crore fundraise by Vodafone, do you see fortunes in this sector going up? I mean, I'll just go through this. Vodafone has given gains of almost 130% in the last 1 year, but in the last few days and today it is down in the negative. Airtel has been in the negative last 1 month and only about 52% gains in the last 1 year. Does your law of gravity apply to Airtel here? Reliance, of course, Jio accounts for only 11% of their revenue, but Reliance too has been just up and down. It would not reflect on Jio too much, but what do you make, where do you see the telecom sector going in the near term?
1 year return of 50% is not bad. And the law of gravity has explained itself, I guess.
It's in the negative last 1 month, so therefore.
Yeah, so 1 month, you don't look at 1 month. I mean, you are asking a wrong person. 1 month return, you should ask a technical guy, not a fundamental guy.
Of course,
So
of
I'm
course.
quite happy we have coverage on Reliance Industries and so forth for Jio, because Jio is a part of Reliance Industries balance sheet and a very strong contribution to the balance sheet. Bharti Airtel, we've been positive for a pretty long period of time. I would not like to comment on Vodafone Idea because we don't have coverage. And what will 45,000 crores do against an outstanding debt of 2 lakh crores? Somebody please explain that mathematics to me. And they are not even in 5G. They are losing subscriber base.
Yes.
So I think having more strong competition will always be better rather than duopoly in the telecom service provider space. And our sense is that ARPUs have gone up. Data usage, as far as consumers like you and me are concerned, have gone up during pandemic, post-pandemic, and the new normal that has set in. Our assumption is that even this year you will see a steady increase as far as data tariffs are concerned and voice tariffs are concerned. Subscriber base addition is also something that is going to be looking very interesting for the two large players, that is Jio as well as Bharti. As a disclosure, we have coverage on both of them.
All right, but Gaurang, of course, you don't want to comment on Vodafone Idea stock specifically, but still a fundraising plan of 45,000 crore, and add to that, I mean, if there is an announcement in five, of what they plan to do with 5G, the government is also going to convert their stake into equity. I mean, it does give a new lease on life to the company, but free fall this morning, 4.5%, the stock is down. What's worrying investors in your mind?
The same worry, Suyash. I mean, you have to, and telecom service provider space is such that you need to invest huge amount of capital for keeping your systems up to mark and upgrades. And I don't know, I mean, honestly speaking, and we've heard these fund infusion stories in the past also. So I'm not excited, to be very honest. I mean, I would rather buy a strong player or invest in a strong player in this segment rather than go for a wishful story being told to me. And like I said, on Vodafone Idea, and honestly, Suyash, we had coverage very long time back. We had a sell recommendation, to be very honest. And after our sell recommendation targets on the lower side being achieved, we have removed the coverage because we don't find any credible fundamental over there.
Gaurang, you spoke about a strong player. Do you foresee Jio to get listed separately in the near future, and do you consider that as a strong player?
Well, we all would wish to do that, to be very honest, but it is up to the wisdom of the management when they are doing it. We saw one part happening, Jio Financials. I think we leave it to the wisdom of the management as to when they will take a call to do this.
All right, and we were just earlier in the conversation talking about how FIIs, they have been net sellers in equities, but they are lapping up debt, the government debt. They have infused nearly 4.5 billion. since the start of the year. I mean, investments in debt has been steadily rising since October, since the announcement in the JP Morgan bond index. What does it mean for the rupee? Because I mean, RBI has done particularly well in at least keeping volatility for the rupee under check. Gaurang.
So despite the FIs have sold in equity markets, we are at 22,200, a new high. And I discount them upright, to be very honest. It doesn't matter to me. And I'll be glad to lap in any stock where they have a sell recommendation if I found credible fundamentals and we have coverage over there. Bond markets was missing out on one thing, that is participation and volumes. I think that game is going to change post the policy changes or the changes that have been put in place, and of course inclusion of Indian bonds into the overseas market. So I guess there will be a little bit of more flavor or attraction towards the bond markets. And of course, there has been a long desire from my side individually to see a stronger rupee against the dollar. Let's see where it settles down.